with Ira Windeman. Go ahead.
Erik, I guess the first question, PJ Tucker, I know traveled out there today. What is his status going in?
He's still questionable. He's going to go through a routine, and I'll meet with the training staff and talk to PJ, and we'll figure out what the best course of action will be.
How encouraging is it, though, that guys are getting out of protocols? First, Kyle, now PJ, that the pattern seems to be swinging, maybe the pendulum, hopefully better in your favor.
Yeah, no question. We feel optimistic, that we'll be returning, some of our guys on this road trip. And we just keep on forging ahead. We've had, like I said, while guys have been out, we've had some, amazing nights. We came up short the other night, last night in Sacramento. But this group, just continues to compete and try to give ourselves the best chance, to have an opportunity to win, regardless of who's here or not.
And then last one from me. You'll be spending a lot of upcoming summers with Steve Kerr. Your relationship with him, and how excited are you for that? Thank you.
I'm really excited about it. Obviously I'm incredibly honored and humbled just to have an opportunity to work with Steve and Grant and the entire staff and be a part of the USAB program. It's a dream for any coach to be part of the program, and I have such great, deep respect for Steve. I think he just has a really creative and innovative mind, and I find the way he approaches the game really interesting. So I'm really excited about it, and it's one of those kind of pinch you moments to make you feel like it's real.
All right, up next we have Cooper Moorhead, Heat.com. Go ahead.
Yeah, Spo, because of what O'Mara's been able to do and the opportunity he's had the last few weeks, has his play at all sped up or changed the developmental process behind the scenes at all, or is it been pretty much the same plan the whole time? Yeah,
I would say it's been the same plan. Even when he wasn't playing, it was to improve his mentality and improve his game and things that would help us win. And then, of course, staying in great shape and staying ready, for the opportunity when it inevitably would come. We haven't changed our approach with that. Even though he's playing more minutes, it's still about his development and getting him better. And with all of our young guys, ultimately, it's about helping them learn how to impact winning. And how can you help this team win and be in a better position?
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, we'll go to the room now.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about this decision to bring Rio back, and what do you hope, if this isn't a long-term thing, that he gets from this?
Well, Rio and I have kept in touch. He worked out with us a couple times this summer. And the timing wasn't right, coming from training camp because of where we are with our roster. But then, he played a couple games in the G League, and we stayed in touch. And this has just been a really unique, uncommon week. And so there was a mad scramble for roster spots. And guys are going off the board. And I think we all saw, that Rio, kept himself in shape. He and I had just texted, a couple of weeks ago. He said that, he's ready if the opportunity would come about. And we hadn't really gone through this COVID stretch. We were going through our injury stretch. So I'm thinking hey, it's great to hear from Rio and reconnect with him. But, hopefully we're not going to have, a bunch of spots available. And, of course, like everybody else, we did, and happened quickly. And I just enjoy it. I like the human part of it, bringing him back, part of the family. I mean, he told me something crazy this summer. He said he wants to get into this profession. And I asked him if he was nuts. Are you kidding? But if he does choose eventually when he's done playing, he still has, if he chooses to, he's got years ahead of him because he's in shape, and his style of play would lend itself to be able to play, a few more years. But if he does decide that he wants to get into this madness, I'd love to help him, and continue the relationship, whether it's with us or somebody else.
What do you think he's meant to the Heat organization, what he's given to his whole career?
Yeah, he's a major part of, the banners that were up there. We were together from the beginning of his career. A lot of development was spent with Rio and in the summers and working with our staff, and then preparing himself to be, one of the mainstays of those championship years. Really enjoyed seeing his growth and progress as a professional and as a human being. He's just a good guy. So we've always kept in touch, and I don't know where this is going to go. We all have to just keep an open mind to this. This is like nothing else we've been a part of before. But if you have an opportunity to, do something like this, even if it's just a short period of time, I think it's worth it. And I'm grateful for the relationship.
Erik, back here, Ron Krajcik from the San Francisco Chronicle. You obviously had Andre Iguodala the last 2 years, and he's missed some games with knee soreness here, but when he's played, he's had some really good games. 12, 8, and 7, I think, the last game. I'm curious what you learned about him in those 2 years and how much he can still contribute to a team like the Warriors. He's almost 38, but he's obviously still a factor.
Yeah, the human side that I just mentioned, like, this is the perfect scenario for him to end up back here. And because of his IQ and understanding of the game and experience, he literally could do this for 5 more years. I doubt he'll choose that path, but he sees things so much quicker before they happen. And that just fits in perfectly well with their system and what Steve wants to do, and helping Curry and the rest of the guys maximize their games. Him coming to us, for 2 years was such a blessing. I was always a fan of his, and I had always hoped that one day in my career I'd have an opportunity to coach him. And then, when they're winning all the championships, you're like, all right, that's never going to happen. And then, an amazing sequence of sliding doors that we were able to acquire him. And then in the bubble, he was so incredible. His leadership, his guidance, for everybody. We had somebody in the room that had championship experience, and his skill set. I don't think it was talked about enough. In that bubble run that we had in the playoffs, I literally played him at all 5 positions. At some point, depending on the series, I played him as our backup point guard in a series. I played him as our backup center in the Boston series, and of course, played him at the 3, his natural position coming into the league. Definitely played him at the 4. I mean, that was his first position he played with us, and then he played some at the 2. So he guarded all 5 positions, and he played all 5 positions, and that was probably the first time anybody had done that really for us. And he was just a fun guy to be around. I learned a lot from him, and even just his approach and bringing joy, to everything every day. I think it was meant to be, a merging of the 2 cultures, and we took a lot from him. I hope that he took, some from us, but I'm a big time fan of his.
I guess one quick follow-up. One of the conversations out here about him is his hands and how often he strips guys. You have any favorite story, any favorite anecdote about him his hands in a game with you those 2 years?
Somebody would post him up. Our coaching staff would all look at each other and say, they obviously didn't look at the scouting report. They're backing in. Once you get to like 3rd dribble, that's not going to end up well, regardless of who it is his positioning, and then the timing of doing it and doing it without fouling is incredible. But he's great at deflections, great at seeing plays before they happen. He's an incredible communicator, on defense. So he can be the back line of your defense. He can be the front of your defense. He played the front line of our zone defense, which he had never done before since probably high school, he said. And he did it as well as anybody we had on the roster. He learned it in a day. So that defensive skill set is something you couldn't teach. So, like, he would do it all the time, and then with all of our young players, we'd always have to go back in a meeting the next day and say, "Don't try to do what Andre did. You do that, that's going to be a foul 1,000% of the time. You don't have the technique, you don't have the feel, don't have the hands. So don't just admire it, but don't try to copy it."
Hi, Eric. Janie McCauley from Associated Press. Clay Thompson may return later this week, and just are you eager to see from afar how they, work him in and how he comes back from this 2-year absence? And they're already a deep team, and now they're adding Clay and potentially Wiseman here soon too.
Gonna fit in, great. It's all a matter of getting his rhythm and timing back, but he's been working very diligently behind the scenes, and it's not like his game is a game that you have to adjust what they do, in terms of usage, or hey, you got to get him touches or anything. He's just going to be running around all over the place, and all of it unscripted, and that's all part of his beauty and genius of how he plays. And Steve has created a system that just really maximizes those skill sets. They're really unique, and I think it'll, it's going to be seamless. It's just a matter of getting in that game conditioning. All right, thank you.